There's nothing worse than slowly but surely watching something you love change from what it was to something it was never meant to be. I think more than anyone, DC fans understand this feeling the most. From my understanding of the era of the New 52 universe, reception was,
come on now, dawg,
an animated universe where the movies were 50% good at the time, and a cinematic universe where the movies were good 10% of the time. Must have been a grueling decade. I can only imagine it as a dark period of time. I think this can only be further emphasized by the long-standing reign that Marvel had on the public perception of superheroes. I mean, while Superman was busy being Jesus and getting called boring, and Batman was out there genuinely killing people, and Wonder Woman was being horribly acted out, Iron Man and Captain America were becoming household names. That's not to say Marvel was perfect, but it was successful. It had a formula. People liked it and it worked, and we got some genuine quality out of it. Things only looked good for Marvel, and for that time period, things only looked bad for DC. In 2019, there was a shift. Avengers Endgame ended, obviously. The incredible MCU journey we spent a decade going on had been concluded, and with it, the end of a saga of cinematic history. However, streaming towards the end of the year after Marvel's cinematic blockbuster, we were delivered a grim and psychological thriller by the name of Joker. And ladies and gentlemen, I will call this the tipping of the scales. Because outside of the spectacular success of No Way Home, the common consensus for the MCU is that ever since the release of Endgame, the MCU has only steadily declined in quality. Are there certain movies that came out in this period that should have received more positive reception? Yeah. And did DC only make perfect movies from this point on?
Come on now.
Absolutely not. But when you look back at it, the same time Marvel was starting to lose its steam, DC was rapidly gaining its own. In my personal opinion, post-Joker DC has taken 4 massive W's that justify my thoughts that we are witnessing an incredible age of DC that's going to ripple through the rest of the 2020s and so on. Not just in movies, but just in comic book history in general. And the first dub, in my opinion, is giving James Gunn the reins on the Suicide Squad. A genius idea, allowing James Gunn to continue this concept of a ragtag group of supervillains banding together under some fucked up authority. Not only did James Gunn make an amazing movie out of the idea, letting that idea evolve into a whole Peacemaker show, and then giving James Gunn the reins again on Creature Commandos, like, DC isn't playing. They understand the quality that James Gunn is producing, and they're not fucking with this goose at all. Just keep letting the damn thing shard out more eggs. And number 2, everything that has to do with the Batman. Like, everything Matt Reeves and the team did with the movie is basically perfect for the character of Batman. Through and through, this is one of the only comic book movies that I am consistently seeing are being compared to The Dark Knight in terms of genuine quality. And for good reason. The sequel is one of the most anticipated comic book movies ever. Even though Matt Reeves' universe isn't going to connect with the current DC universe, it's still a fulfilling and entertaining part of DC in its own right, and everybody is excited to see more, which is more than people can say for the Netflix universe of the Marvel. Number 3. You know, movies probably pull the most revenue for these companies in the modern day, which makes sense. It's the most accessible medium for most people outside of daytime television. Cough cough the CW. But we must not forget about the goddamn source. Recently, DC has been releasing issues of the newest Absolute runs, which are revised versions of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And my gosh, they're all amazing. Like seriously, all 3 of these runs, so far in my opinion, are incredible. The art's good, and each of the newest renditions of the characters are different enough to feel unique, but stick and abide by the core values of the characters that people will actually like about them. I hear very often that as an effect of The Dark Knight, DC felt almost obsessed with the idea of darkening the DC universe, making characters grittier and edgier for the sake of it. For God's sakes, the entirety of Injustice you could take as a side effect of this as well, which most people don't think is a good story in general. New 52 had its fans, and I'm not going to pretend I've read every single thing from it, but if the movies were a sign, the universe was a deviation from what people enjoyed about some of the characters, the Absolute run has none of those issues. Through and through, it is so far an excellent rendition of the biggest DC characters, and a sign that DC has yet to lose their edge in the comic sphere and still is capable of pumping out what fans will consider to be good comics. And as for number 4, James Gunn, you fucking god. This guy prints W's like every morning. Look, the movie hasn't come out yet, and you never want to set your expectations too high, especially for comic book movies. But can you really blame me after watching this teaser? While the Batman and Joker were only telling their own stories in their style and tone, they were really hard to imitate and don't really work at extending into a greater universe. But Superman, everything about this trailer, from the vibrant colors, the stellar remix of the John Williams score, to what they're deciding to showcase about the movie, people being amazed and scared of what Superman could be, showcasing him saving people and his relationship with Lois. The movie understands Superman. James Gunn understands Superman. And this is the final spark, if needed, to change the course of comic book movies for the next decade. If it's good, of course. It's going to be inspiring and hopeful, and I am all here for it because that's what Superman's supposed to be. As good as Henry Cavill was as Superman, Snyder, no offense, didn't really understand what made Superman cool. After watching a bunch of animated movies, I understand what makes him cool, at least to me. It's definitely not when he's impaling children. I don't think that's pretty cool at all. Maybe Wonder Woman does. I think I picked the best time in history to become a DC fan personally. I enjoyed every DC animated movie earlier this year, and it officially initiated me into this universe. And when I say enjoyed, I don't mean I thought every single one was good, but I enjoyed finally tagging on to this mythos that I've been kind of avoiding outside of Batman stuff. And since then, I've only been ready to consume new content, and I only get more excited as time goes on. Is my perspective from a filthy casual? Sure, but I've enjoyed it, and I'm having so much fun right now, and I happily encourage anyone who hasn't to dive right in. Start right now, do what I did. Watch the shows, watch the movies, all of them, even the shit ones. A golden age like this doesn't roll around often, and regardless of what anyone says, isn't nothing wrong with hopping on a hype train. But what do you guys think? Are we on the cusp of one of the best eras in DC, or am I just glazing? Let me know down in the comments below, and please like if you enjoyed this video. But for now, it's been me, and thank you for watching. Roll the credits.